At 26, Ethan looked like someone who had already carried the weight of a long, exhausting life. His eyes always seemed tired, his shoulders constantly slumped, and his thoughts never truly rested. He was the kind of person who was always overthinking, not imagining, not preparing, but constantly worrying. Every morning he would wake up with endless thoughts already racing through his mind. What if I never achieve anything? What if I never become truly successful? What if I choose the wrong path? What if the mistakes I made before ruin everything waiting for me? And at night, when everything around him became quiet, his mind only grew noisier. He would relive old moments, the day he failed an important test, the day he believed the wrong person, the day he refused to take a chance when the opportunity was right in front of him. Then he would picture the future, a future where he keeps struggling, a future where people constantly criticize him, a future where everything falls apart. Because of this, he was always exhausted, not in his body, but in his mind. Thoughts slowly took over his mind, and while he was sitting quietly, doing absolutely nothing, he still felt completely drained. His friends eventually began to notice. Dude, you're always somewhere else. You never seem to enjoy anything. Why are you always so quiet? But Ethan didn't know how to answer them. How could he describe a storm that existed only inside his own mind? One day, after a long and music-overwhelming week, Ethan decided to take a walk far beyond the city. He wanted fresh air. He wanted peace. He wanted anything that could calm his mind. He kept walking without any destination. The noise of the city slowly disappeared, replaced by the gentle sound of the breeze and birds singing. After a while he arrived at a small village. There stood a huge ancient tree all by itself. Beneath that tree an elderly man was sitting quietly. The old man looked unusual, not wealthy, not influential, not someone extraordinary, but deeply peaceful, completely at peace. He simply sat there, looking up at the sky with a gentle smile across his face. Ethan stopped. He wasn't sure why, but there was something about the old man that caught his attention. He slowly walked closer. The elderly man looked at him and smiled. "You seem exhausted," he said softly. Ethan gave a faint smile. "I am." The old man nodded as though he had already known the answer. "Sit," he said. Ethan sat beside him. For a few moments neither of them spoke, but strangely the silence didn't feel awkward, felt peaceful. After a short while the old man asked, "Tell me, what is making you feel so exhausted?" Ethan paused for a moment, but then something inside him gave way. He began to speak. He spoke about his past. He spoke about the mistakes he had made. He spoke about the fears that followed him. He spoke about the worries he carried for his future. He kept talking for a long time, and the old man simply listened without interrupting, without criticizing. When Ethan finally became quiet, he felt a little lighter, yet he was still confused. The old man looked at him and asked a simple question. "Tell me, all the things you are worried about, can you fix every one of them right now?" Meeting the wise stranger. Ethan thought for a moment. "No, not all of them." The old man nodded. "Then why are you carrying every one of them at the same time?" Ethan remained silent. The old man picked up a small pebble from the ground and placed it, music, into Ethan's hand. "Hold this." Ethan held it. "It's not heavy, is it?" the old man asked. "No," Ethan replied. The old man smiled. "Now hold it for 1 minute." Ethan held it. "Now imagine holding it for 1 hour." Ethan nodded. "It would start feeling heavy." "And if you held it for the entire day?" the old man asked. Ethan understood. "It would become very heavy, even though it's small." The old man smiled. Exactly. The problem is not the weight of the pebble, Clear's throat. The problem is how long you keep holding it. Ethan looked at the pebble resting in his hand, and suddenly it felt completely different. The old man continued, "Your worries are just like this, music pebble. Thinking about them for a short time is normal, but carrying them all day and all night, that's what music leaves you exhausted." Ethan took a deep breath. "But how do I stop thinking?" he asked. The old man looked toward the sky. "You don't stop thinking," he replied. "You simply learn when it's time to let go." Ethan frowned slightly. "I don't understand." The old man smiled and pointed toward a nearby river. "Come." The two of them walked to the river. The water moved gently without stopping. The old man picked up a dry leaf and placed it on top of the water. "Watch." The leaf slowly drifted away with the current. "Life is like this river," the old man said. "Some things are under your control, like where you choose to walk, but many things are not, like the direction the water flows." Ethan watched the leaf disappear into the distance. The old man turned toward him. "Now tell me, if you try to stop the river using your hands, what would happen?" Ethan smiled slightly. "It's impossible." "Exactly," the old man said, "and yet you keep trying to control everything in your life. Your past, your future, other people, every result, everything." Ethan lowered his eyes. The old man's voice became even gentler. "Listen carefully. This is very important. If you are able to solve a problem, then there is no reason to worry. Simply take action. And if you cannot solve a problem, then there is still no reason to worry, because worrying will never solve it." Ethan looked up. Those words touched him deeply. The old man continued, "You are suffering, not because life is difficult, but because you keep fighting things you have no control over." Ethan felt something change inside him. "But what about my past?" he asked quietly. "I made mistakes, big ones." The old man smiled. "Let me tell you a short story." Ethan listened carefully. Once there was a man walking while carrying a heavy sack filled with stones. Someone asked him, "Why are you carrying that?" He answered, "These stones represent all my past mistakes. I carry them so I will never forget them." The old man paused. But the truth is, he didn't become any wiser. He only became weaker. Ethan's eyes widened slightly. The old man looked directly at him. "Your past is a lesson, not a life punishment. Learn from it and then leave it behind." Ethan felt the weight in his chest become lighter for the first time in a very long while. He wasn't thinking about his music past anymore. He was simply listening. "And what about the future?" Ethan asked. The old man smiled once again. "The future is like music, the sky." Ethan looked upward. Clouds moved slowly across it. "You can see it, but you cannot hold it. You can prepare for it, but you cannot control it." The old man took a deep breath. "Most people, music, ruin their present by worrying about a future that hasn't even arrived." Living in the present, Ethan felt a quiet sense of peace growing inside him. The old man then shared a simple example. "Tell me, when you eat your food, do you spend your time thinking about next week's meals?" Ethan shook his head. "No." "You focus on the meal that is in front of you, don't you?" "Yes." "Then why don't you live your life the same way?" the old man asked. "Why are you trying to live your entire life in a single day?" Ethan smiled softly. That one question changed something deep inside him. The two of them, Music, walked back to the tree and sat down once more. The sun was slowly setting. The sky turned a beautiful golden color. The old man closed his eyes and took a long, peaceful breath. Ethan watched him. There was no stress on his face, no worry, no hurry, only peace. "How do you always stay this calm?" Ethan asked. The old man opened his eyes. "I trust life," he answered simply. Ethan looked puzzled. The old man continued, "I give my best to the things I can control, and I release the things I cannot. I don't struggle against the river. I move along with it." Ethan's music stayed silent. Those words carried great meaning. "But doesn't that make you careless?" Ethan asked. The old man gently shook his head. "No, it makes me free." Ethan took a deep breath. For the first time in many years, his mind felt quiet. Not completely empty, but much lighter. The old man slowly stood up. "It's getting late," he said. Ethan stood up as well. "Thank you," he said sincerely. The old man smiled. "Remember, final message, let life unfold. Life becomes much simpler when you stop making it so complicated, and sometimes the greatest thing you can do is—" He paused for a moment, then said softly, "Just let it happen." Ethan's music nodded as he started walking back toward the city. Something felt different. The problems were still there, his past was still there, his future was still uncertain, but the way he looked at everything had changed. That night, when he lay in bed, his mind began thinking again. But this time, he asked himself one simple question. Can I solve this right now? If the answer was yes, he made a plan and took action. If the answer was no, he slowly let it go. Day after day, the weight began to disappear. He started appreciating the little moments, the morning sunshine, a simple meal, a meaningful conversation. His life didn't suddenly become perfect, but it became peaceful. And sometimes that is even music more valuable. Because in the end, life isn't about controlling everything. It's about understanding what you truly can control and having the strength to let go of the rest. That simple lesson completely changed Ethan's life. And honestly, this story changed something in me as well. Maybe it can help you too. If you know someone who is always stressed, always trapped in overthinking, always feeling tired without knowing why, share this story with them. And if you'd like more stories music that not only help improve your English, but also share meaningful life lessons, make sure you subscribe. And don't forget to watch the previous story, because everything happens for a reason.